to my channel. Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. How are you doing today? It's very hot out, and I remember about a year ago I told you that I was putting together a makeshift first aid kit to take with me when I travel around, when I'm on the road. And after my injury in November, which happened on the road when the wind slammed my car door on my hand, I ultimately ended up in emergency for stitches. That taught me exactly what else I might like to add to my on-the-road first aid kit. If you're interested in finding out what I think is important to add to a first aid kit, stick around. I think that this is very important in terms of cleaning off the injury, the cut, the scrape, the bruise, the burn, whatever. And these are nice because they stay moist, and they don't seem to have much of an expiry date. They do go dry after a while, but you can tell by squishing it around exactly how much moistness is still left in the package. It's so easy to replace this, and so I think this is a really good item to pack up and take. For cuts that run a little deeper, I recommend that you really wash it out well. And this is cleansing gel. And guys, I usually carry a fresh bottle of liquid with me every day when I go out. But this is for emergency. This is mostly for cleaning a cut. And this is the soap. You don't really need water for cleansing gel, but it's a good idea to have water on hand and some Kleenex. And so that way it's always better to make sure that the injury or the little wound or the big wound is properly cleaned, especially if there's something like wood or glass inside the skin. That will be pretty complicated. Hopefully you don't get an injury that terrible, but these are good items to have on hand if you're interested in cleaning out the wound. And I would highly recommend that you use soap and water rather than alcohol. Alcohol tends to often hurt, and it creates permanent skin damage in some cases. I don't recommend using alcohol, but everybody has their own method of treating a wound, and so this is mine. So after you clean the wound, it's a good idea, depending on what kind of a wound it is, especially if it's been bleeding, it's a good idea, first of all, to wait until the bleeding subsides, or maybe there's not going to be that much blood, and then you will have Q-tips and Polysporin. I never use my hands, and these are also very useful. Cut in half, which is how I treated my own wound on a daily basis for a month. I changed the dressing every day, and I put this on with a half a Q-tip, and it was great, guys. It was very easy. It healed, and now it's pretty much okay. Thank goodness for the nurses and doctors at the hospital. For minor cuts and scrapes, I have here assorted sizes of Band-Aids, and I have tiny ones, large ones, you name it. And so after the Polysporin, there are other creams that you could use, but Polysporin is the most commonly used. You just pop on one of these and make sure that your hands are also clean. So yeah, that should be good to go after that. And so for bigger wounds, you know, longer cuts and larger scrapes, we have here gauze, scissors, and tape. And for pain management, I would recommend a small bottle of Advil. And these are the liquid gels. I've always preferred liquid gels than to the hard tablets. I don't know why that is, but I think they dissolve faster and they go to the pain much better, and like it's much faster. And these have an expiry date, so it's always best to take this out and replace it before the expiry date. Let that in, you have a chance to use them up if you haven't used them already. And so that's where the fresh water comes in handy. And so yeah, I really have been thinking about this, and this would comprise all of the essential items that I used on a daily basis, and especially right after my injury happened. And so that changed the way that I approached injuries. And so I hope that you guys have had a chance to experiment on your own. And if you don't already have a first aid kit, I suggest that maybe if you're doing some traveling this summer, that you put one together. Now, as for airlines, if you're going anywhere by plane, I'm not exactly sure if, you can't always have a bottle of water handy. And, there are some medications that may not be allowed through customs, so you have to sort of play it by ear. I'm sure that these items are all pretty good, except for maybe, yeah, I think you guessed it. These here, they're not safe. You could probably buy a child's scissors if you're traveling by plane, and replace this pointy edge with the one with the soft or rounded edges that children use, and that would be perfectly safe for a flight. And so, yeah, it's not easy to put together a kit that manages all sorts of situations, but I think that this is a good start. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and watching, and that I was able to give some people a few pointers on what you might want to include in a first aid kit. And I have one in my bathroom and one in my car. So, if I ever want to avoid running around trying to find all those things that I need for an injury very quickly, all I have to do is go to the first aid kit in my bathroom or in my car. Thanks for listening and watching.